Thank you very much for that. Indeed, Loris is down 4.1%. Syngene cut is 4.6% now. Divi's is down 2.5%. To talk more, we have Nimish Mehta, Research Delta Advisors. He's been a long-time watcher of the India pharmaceutical sector, and he joins us now. Nimish, take us through your thoughts, because the street over the last couple of months, particularly in September, when it was passed by the House, the street had gotten very bullish on the India CDMO opportunity, the creation of the alternate supply chain. What happens now?
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. Well, I think the optimism was fairly understandable, given that the CDMO opportunity meant that, a lot of the business from China would come to India, and especially given the fact that CDMO business, Indian CDMO business was already at a fraction of the Chinese CDMO business. So the pie was, the target was very large, and obviously the pie here is already very small. So that way, it could be a significant growth for the Indian CDMO players, which is very understandable. And now, as I understand, there has been a delay, I would say, as Vinny pointed out. I also feel that this is not something that will kind of put it aside, especially given the fact that it was passed with a huge majority in the Senate last year, whenever it was passed, I think in September, and hence this is something that will happen. It's just that it might get delayed. So we don't know the regulatory process of when can it be revisited, by the U.S. government, but this is something that will happen, and the benefits, may come a little later, but I don't think it's a significant change in what otherwise we would look at, or how we would look at the CDMO industry in India, especially in the pharma sector.
So, Nimish, were some of the estimates made basis the approval that came by in September in FY25 or FY26 earnings? Will that have to be reversed for some of these names?
Maybe again, how is it going to be placed? See, the concerns raised in the recent reason for dropping off, as a part of the NDAA, as I understand, is that there needs to be a process to be put in place instead of naming the companies. That if certain criteria are met or not met, then the company may be blacklisted, and there should also be a process to take them off the list. So, which again is I think I would consider it as more of the process related issue rather than a fundamental shift in how the US government has been thinking. So yeah, the estimate, directly answering your question, the estimate may change for a few quarters, but that will not change the overall outlook, long-term outlook for the CDMO industry per se.
So Nimish, clearly you are bullish still on the CDMO opportunity. Should investors keep the faith? And how large was the opportunity in terms of size?
Firstly, we have some different thoughts about how we look at CDMO. Obviously, it's an opportunity, no doubt about it, especially on the back of the Biosecure Act. I think we should be looking at, how we should be looking at the CDMO is in conjunction with the new President-elect Donald Trump's policy on manufacturing. So he has been, votary of promoting manufacturing in the US. So we feel that there may be a significant policy change to ensure that the Biosecure Act also first probably gives more benefit to their own manufacturing, and then for countries like India. So to that extent, I think we are optimistic. Clearly, the optimism, or the size of the growth may be varied given the new regime, or basically the new president that will come in. Having said that, the size, well, I don't really know the numbers per se, but I think it was about 2-3%. CDMO, look, it's when we are talking about CDMO here, we are only talking about those products or those APIs that are supplied for the NCE, under clinical trial and then during manufacturing. So we are not talking about generic CDMO. So cutting that off, that number is difficult to know, but it was significantly, lower than what China. I think we are about 1 to 2% of the total, and China maybe about 10 or odd percent. That's what I generally know from whatever I've read. So the opportunity is very large. Obviously our contribution was very low.
Got it. So, Nimish, the opportunity is very large, but what has changed from September to now is one, there is a delay, and two, there is a possibility that part of this opportunity will now go to American companies to manufacture themselves. Is that correct? So, these are the two negatives in terms of a change, relative change for the Indian pharma company, CDMO company.
Absolutely.
So, investors
and I feel
should,
that, I feel that the second part is not really focused upon because, I mean, we are directly looking at only the law, which came in and which has some changes now. But what we are not looking at is the policy that might come in with the president-elect, especially on the manufacturing side. And that is something that people have not looked at. And maybe, we might not be as bullish as the street or, the investors in general.
Across sectors, right? Till the time Donald Trump takes up the office, there'll be a lot of ifs and buts and a lot of uncertainty as well. So we'll watch out for that one. But thank you so much for joining in, Nimish, today and giving us all those details about this update in the pharma space. We'll slip into a short break. When we return, we'll discuss market technicals with Soni Patnaik from JM Financial Services. Be right back.